Is there anything worse than walking away from your 3D printer, expecting a perfect model, only to come back an hour later to find a pile of spaghetti? Or even worse, a giant blob of melted plastic that has completely encased your hot end? Failed prints aren't just frustrating. They waste your time, they waste your filament, and ultimately they cost your business money. In this video, I'm counting down the top 5 ways to avoid failed prints so you can stop troubleshooting and start making profit. My name is Justin, and this is 3D Print to Profit, where we talk about all things related to 3D printing and turning it into a profitable business. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I learned this lesson the hard way. A while back, I downloaded a model I liked from MakerWorld. I used the print profile uploaded by the designer. Without thinking much about it, I hit print and walked away. What I didn't realize was that the designer had uploaded a print profile with heavily modified settings, fine-tuned for their printer, their filament, not mine. The result was a massive clog that ruined my hot end and took hours to fix. Most beginners assume that if a file is online, it's safe to print. That is not always true. So let's go through the 5 steps to make sure that never happens to you. Number 5, always audit the print profile rating. When you are downloading a file from MakerWorld or Printables, let other people do the testing for you. Before you send a file to your printer, look at the star rating and, more importantly, the number of downloads. If a profile has 5 stars but only 1 download, that's risky. But if it has 4.5 stars and 1,000 downloads, you can probably trust it. Take the time to scroll down and read the comments. If you see any red flags, find a different print profile. Number 4, pay attention to filament requirements. Your printer needs to know exactly what plastic it's melting. Now, I use Bambu Lab filament almost exclusively. The benefit here is the RFID tag. The AMS reads it and automatically sets the temperatures and flow rates. However, if you're using the third-party filaments to save money, you have to be careful. If a file is sliced for PLA, but you accidentally load PETG or ABS without changing the settings in the slicer, that print will fail. Always double check that the material in your slicer matches the spool on your machine. Number 3, maintain the build plate. Adhesion is everything. If the first layer fails, the whole print fails. There are 3 things you need to do here. First, do a visual inspection. Make sure there are no old skirt lines or bits of plastic or even an entire print from the previous job. I've mistakenly done that before and do not recommend. Second, check the seating. I've seen failed prints because the magnetic plate was sitting slightly on top of the alignment tabs rather than flush against the magnet. This will create cold spots on your print bed and lead to adhesion problems. And third, make sure your print bed is clean. Bambu Lab recommends to periodically take your build plate to the sink and wash it with dish soap and warm water. You can probably get away with once a month, but might need to do it more often if you print a lot. I always try to hold the build plate by the edges and limit touching the plate as much as possible. Number 2, when in doubt, reset to defaults. This goes back to my horror story from the intro. When you open a file from MakerWorld, it often imports the user preset settings from the designer. They might have changed the speed, the retraction, or the cooling to suit their specific room temperature or filament. You don't want their baggage. If you open a file and see a bunch of modified settings, go to the drop-down menu and select the system default profile. Usually the 0.2 millimeter standard. Trust the defaults. Engineers have spent thousands of hours perfecting those profiles. Use them. And finally, number 1, don't tweak what you don't know. It's very tempting to watch pro YouTubers and immediately start messing with acceleration, jerk settings, and Z-hops. Here's my golden rule. Try changing one setting at a time if needed, and only if you know exactly why you are changing it. The default settings will get you and 95% perfect print. Chasing that last 5% of quality by blindly changing settings you don't understand is the fastest way to get a 100% failed print. Keep it simple, let the printer do the work. So to recap, 5, check the reviews. 4, match your filament. 3, maintain your bed. 2, reset the system defaults. And 1, don't tweak unnecessarily. Failed prints cost you money. By following these 5 steps, you keep your costs down and your profit margins high. And speaking of profit, once your printer is running smoothly, your next question is, how can I start making money? Well, I've created a free guide with the top 10 things you need to know before you start selling on Etsy. I've put the link to that free download in the description below. If you found this helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tips on building your 3D printing business. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.